North Korea's Air Koryo, the world's most bizarre airline. Imagine boarding an aircraft that seems to have stepped straight out of the 1970s. No modern amenities like entertainment screens, no Wi-Fi, and your in-flight meal is a mysterious sandwich famously known in aviation circles as the Air Koryo Hamburger. This is not a movie set, it's the reality aboard Air Koryo, North Korea's national airline. Often seen as a symbol of the country's isolation, Air Koryo is frozen in time, unique, and surrounded by controversy. What makes Air Koryo so special and bizarre? Let's take a journey through the aviation history of North Korea to uncover why this airline has been rated the worst in the world for so many years. Air Koryo, North Korea's national pride. Air Koryo was founded in 1955 as Chosun Minhang, a joint venture between North Korea and the Soviet Union. In 1992, it was rebranded to its current name. Its original purpose was to connect North Korea with its allies, but due to political isolation and economic sanctions, the airline never developed into a modern carrier. Today, Air Koryo is a relic of the past, both fascinating and troubling. The airline operates a fleet that looks like it has been plucked straight out of the Soviet era. Its planes consist mainly of older models like the Tupolev Tu-134, Tupolev Tu-154, and Ilyushin Il-62. Once the pride of Soviet aviation, these aircraft are now largely obsolete in commercial aviation. What was once considered cutting edge is now seen as outdated and inefficient. This brings us to a key question. Why does Air Koryo still use such old planes? A fleet stuck in the past. It's no secret that Air Koryo's fleet is outdated. Take the Tupolev Tu-154, for instance, one of their most used planes. First introduced in 1972, these aircraft, with their loud engines and retro interiors, are a rare sight in today's aviation industry. Inside an Air Koryo plane, time seems to stand still. Fabric seats, curtains on the windows, and a lack of modern amenities like USB chargers or entertainment screens. Even the ventilation grills and safety instructions look like relics from another era. But why does Air Koryo continue to use these antiquated planes? The answer lies in the international sanctions imposed on North Korea. These restrictions prevent the country from purchasing planes from Western manufacturers like Boeing or Airbus. Economic limitations also make it impossible for North Korea to buy modern aircraft, even from allies like Russia or China. As a result, Air Koryo relies entirely on its existing fleet, which grows more outdated with each passing year. Propaganda at 30,000 feet. The uniqueness of Air Koryo isn't just in its fleet, it's also in the onboard atmosphere. Picture a typical flight. Movies, music, and maybe some Wi-Fi to pass the time. On Air Koryo, the experience is completely different. Instead of international films or music, passengers are treated to North Korean propaganda. Think videos featuring patriotic songs, military parades, and speeches by the country's leaders. It feels less like a flight and more like a propaganda showcase at 30,000 feet. Even the safety instructions carry a sense of national pride. Everything is presented with an undertone of discipline and honor, as though fastening your seatbelt is an act of loyalty to the country. For many passengers, especially tourists, this creates a surreal experience, a glimpse into the tightly controlled world of North Korea. The infamous Air Koryo Hamburger. No discussion about Air Koryo would be complete without mentioning its onboard meals. The most famous meal is the so-called Air Koryo Hamburger. This simple sandwich, featuring a mysterious meat patty and a dab of sauce, has achieved near mythical status among travelers. Far from being a gourmet experience, the stories surrounding this meal are legendary. For some passengers, the hamburger symbolizes the simplicity and peculiarity of Air Koryo's service. For others, it's just a dry, flavorless sandwich. What makes this hamburger so remarkable is the lack of alternatives. Often, it's the only choice on the menu. The question of what's actually in the patty remains unanswered, but this only adds to the cult status of this humble meal. A limited network. Air Koryo is not an airline that connects the world. In fact, its international network is extremely limited. The main destinations are Beijing and Vladivostok, with occasional flights to other cities in China or Russia. These routes are crucial due to North Korea's political and economic ties with these countries. Within North Korea, Air Koryo operates flights to remote locations like Mount Pektu and Wonsan. These flights are primarily used by government officials and foreign tourists. For the average North Korean citizen, flying is not an option. Most rely on trains or buses for long-distance travel. Safety concerns and the European Blacklist. Air Koryo has faced significant criticism regarding safety. Many of its planes are on the European Union's blacklist, meaning they are banned from flying in EU airspace due to safety risks. Modern aviation authorities enforce strict requirements for maintenance documentation and technical specifications. Many of Air Koryo's older Tupolev and Ilyushin models simply don't meet these standards. The airline does have a few planes that comply with these requirements, like the Tupolev Tu-204, a relatively modern aircraft. However, these are rarely used for international flights. As a result, Air Koryo is almost entirely excluded from the Western aviation market. Service with a formal smile. Air Koryo's cabin crew is known for their formal and disciplined demeanor. Every action, from the welcome greeting to serving meals, is executed with strict adherence to protocol. The smiles are polite but mechanical. There's little room for spontaneity or personal connection. For tourists, this adds to the airline's unique charm. It reinforces the feeling that you're experiencing something extraordinary, a glimpse into a world where control and discipline are the norm. However, for frequent travelers, this rigid formality can quickly feel uncomfortable or even alienating. For the adventurous traveler. Despite its limitations and poor reputation, Air Koryo holds a certain allure, especially for adventurous travelers and aviation enthusiasts. It offers a rare opportunity to fly on aircraft that have long since been retired elsewhere. For some, it's a nostalgic glimpse into the past. For others, it's a fascinating peek into North Korea's enigmatic world. Flying with Air Koryo is not just a journey, it's a cultural experience. From the propaganda videos to the iconic hamburger and the retro fleet, everything about this airline reflects North Korea's isolation, individuality, and uniqueness. So, Air Koryo is more than just an airline. It's a window into a world that remains hidden from most of us. With its outdated planes, limited destinations, and unmistakable North Korean ambiance, it's a symbol of the country it represents. At the same time, it's a reminder of how vastly different aviation can be in a country that follows its own rules. Would you dare to fly with Air Koryo? Perhaps to catch a glimpse of a world so different from our own, or just to try that iconic Air Koryo hamburger? Let us know in the comments. And remember, if you ever do take a bite of that famous sandwich, you'll have a story you'll never forget. Until the next flight.